Christmas University Challenge. Asking the questions, Amol Roger.
Hello and welcome to University Challenge. Tonight is the final heat of this year's Christmas competition. We're joined by two more teams of alumni competing for the honour of their alma maters. If they can win this evening with a score of 155 points or more, they'll join teams from Durham, Worcester College, Oxford and Queen's College, Cambridge in the series semi-finals. Anything less means the end of the road. Playing on behalf of the University of St Andrews is, firstly, a Professor of Art History and Museum Studies at the University of Leeds. She's an expert in late 19th and early 20th century art and design, and her most recent book, In a New Light, explores histories of women and energy. On her left is a comedian and writer. He's a regular guest on panel shows on both radio and television. He's also presented his own series on Radio 4 called Life on the Blink and a documentary for BBC Two called Blind Ambition, for which he won a Grierson Award. The acting career of their captain has included roles in some of the world's biggest media franchises. She's appeared in House of the Dragon, the video game Baldur's Gate 3 and the Star Wars series The Acolyte. In 2022, she wrote her first play, The Prince, and she's also the creator of the YouTube channel Philosophy Tube. Completing the team is a multi-award-winning documentary maker. In his many films and podcasts for the BBC and National Geographic, he's tackled topics ranging from immigration to the wellness industry and once turned lonely elderly people into the world's oldest rock group, the Zimmers. Let's hear them introduce themselves in the usual way.
Hi, I'm Abigail Harrison-Moore. I did an MA in Art History and I graduated in 1994.
Hi, I'm Jamie MacDonald. I have an MA in Ancient History and I graduated in 2004.
And their captain.
Hi, I'm Abigail Thorne. I have an MA in Philosophy and I graduated in 2015.
I'm Tim Samuels. I have an MA in Modern History and International Relations and left in 1998.
Their opponents are all graduates of the LSE and include, firstly, one of the UK's most senior civil servants. As National Statistician, he leads the Office for National Statistics and the Government Analysis Function and acts as the government's principal advisor on official statistics. Their second player has spent much of her career working in international development, supporting minority communities all over the world. Right now, she's the CEO of Oxfam GB, having previously led Action Aid UK and the Runnymede Trust, and advises major organisations on equalities and civil rights. They're captained by a journalist who currently writes for the Sunday Times with a particular focus on defence and foreign affairs, having previously been Newsnight's diplomatic editor for nearly 20 years. He's also the author of multiple best-selling books on history. Completing the team is a comedian, writer and actor. She's the creator and host of Hoovering, a podcast about eating, and a frequent co-host of the Guilty Feminist podcast. She's also a keen weightlifter and presents the Radio 4 comedy series Sturdy Girl Club. Let's meet this year's team from the LSE.
I'm Ian Diamond, and I graduated in 1975 with a BSc Econ in Statistics and in 1976 with an MSc in Statistics.
I'm Halima Begum and I graduated in 1996 with a BSc in History and Politics and International Relations MSc.
And their captain.
I'm Mark Urban. I graduated in 1982 with a BSc Econ in International Relations.
I'm Jess Fosterkew and I graduated in 2004 with a law degree.
OK, guys, welcome. You feeling ready?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very hesitant. Well, you better be, because here we go. Fingers on buzzers, here's your first starter for 10. Good luck. Broadcast on ABC 50 years ago in January 1974, All the Way is the first episode of which American sitcom created by Gary Marshall? The episode sees the affections of Milwaukee high schooler Mary Lou Milligan competed for by Richie Cunningham and Arthur
St Andrews Harrison Moore.
Happy days.
It is indeed Happy Days. Your bonuses then, St Andrews, are on the motif from Chinese art known as the Three Friends of Winter. Three plants whose ability to thrive in winter has made them symbolic of the virtues of perseverance and resilience. Name each of the plants from the description and a single word common name will be sufficient. First, the common name of a genus of conifer trees found throughout the Northern Hemisphere, particularly in temperate and boreal forests, and frequently exploited for timber and resins. A member of the genus once dominated the Caledonian forest.
Any idea? Pine. That sounds good to me.
Pine?
Yes. Second, a fruit tree of the genus Prunus, Often the first to blossom while it is still cold. The name was historically used for any dried fruits, such as raisins, hence its use in an alternative name for Christmas pudding.
Plum.
Yes. And finally, a fast-growing, versatile member of the grass family whose straight, tall stalks link it to moral uprightness with its ability to bend in the wind, representing flexibility in adversity.
Bamboo, because it's giant.
Bamboo? Yeah, go for it.
Bamboo.
Yes, well done. Here's another starter question. On his death in 1924, which writer's literary estate was administered by his friend Max Brod, who quickly and controversially began seeking to publish his unpublished works and papers, despite having found 2 notes explicitly instructing him to burn them to the last page?
St Andrew's Thorn.
Franz Kafka.
Well done, it is indeed, yeah. Your bonuses, St Andrews, are 3 questions on the 1974 FIFA World Cup that took place 50 years ago this year. Quote, I wasn't completely sure what he'd done, but I knew it was something outrageous. Every time the ball went to him after that, I prayed, please don't do it again. Those words of Swedish defender Jan Olsson refer to a notable move made against him in the group stages by which player?
It's got to be Pele, doesn't it? I think Pele, probably.
Pele.
No, it was Cruyff for the Cruyff turn. Which European country's team achieved a 1-0 victory over defending champions Brazil in the 3rd-place playoff match? To date, it remains their joint best showing in a major tournament, coming 3rd again in 1982.
Oh, right. We came 3rd in the whole tournament. They've never won. Is that going to be Netherlands again, do you think?
Don't
Any ideas?
didn't hear.
I think it might be the Netherlands again. They've never won it, I don't know.
Give it a go. Netherlands.
No, it's Poland. The Dutch were ultimately defeated 2-1 in the final by West Germany, with the winning goal scored by which striker, nicknamed the Bomber? It was his 68th and final goal in 62 games for his country.
Who's the best German footballer? Beckenbauer? Huh? Beckenbauer?
Yeah.
Go for it. Beckenbauer?
Nominate Samuels.
Beckenbauer?
He wasn't a striker, no, it's Gerd Muller. Other starter question, fingers on buzzers. Envy, Curlina, and moss curled are varieties of what culinary herb whose Latin generic name means rock celery? It's
St Andrew's Thorn.
Parsley.
It is parsley, well done. Your bonuses, St Andrews, are on films set around the new year. In each case, name the film from the description. First, a 1972 disaster film set on an ocean liner that is struck by a tsunami on New Year's Day during her final transatlantic voyage. Despite an ensemble cast with several Oscar winners, Shelley Winters was the only actor nominated for the film.
Do you know it? Yeah.
The Poseidon Adventure.
Yes. Secondly, a 2013 post-apocalyptic film directed by Bong Joon-ho and based on a French graphic novel. It depicts a popular uprising of passengers on a train carrying Earth's last survivors, just as they're about to mark another full circumnavigation of the globe on New Year's Day.
Snowpiercer.
Yes. And finally, a 1960 Rat Pack film in which a group of Second World War veterans planned to rob 5 Las Vegas casinos on New Year's Eve. It was remade in 2001, starring George Clooney and Brad Pitt.
Ocean's 11.
Yes, indeed. So let's move to an audio round. And for this audio starter, you will hear the call of a British garden bird. For 10 points, name the bird.
LSE Foster-Q.
Owl.
I need more than that.
Barn owl.
No. You may not confer.
Sorry, it's tawny owl.
You need to buzz.
St Andrew's Harrison Moore.
Tawny owl.
It is the tawny owl, yeah, exactly. That was a tawny owl, a bird whose call inspired the Old English word for owl. For your bonuses, you will hear the calls of 3 more birds found in the UK whose names are derived from their calls. For 5 points, tell me the name of the bird. First.
It's a stone. Stone chat.
Say again?
It's a stone chat. I think it's a stone chat.
Chat.
Stone chat, yes.
Stone chat.
Yes. Next, this wading bird.
That's a bittern. No. No, it's not.
What do you think it is?
No, that's a boomer. Is it a lapwing? No, its name's derived from
The
it.
name's derived from it.
I'm trying to think of every single... No.
A honk goose?
No.
Come on.
Sorry.
Don't know.
No.
That's actually my car alarm.
It does sound familiar, doesn't it? It's a curlew. Finally.
proper name.
Come on.
Song thrush.
I don't know, sorry.
Song thrush.
No, it's a chiff chaff. Now let's start the question. In the 1860s, the German biologist Ernst Haeckel coined what short Greek-derived term for what was called a genealogical tree of a large group of organisms?
St Andrews MacDonald.
Family tree. I know it's going to be wrong now because you were...
No, I'm afraid you lose 5 points.
LSE Urban.
Genus.
No, it's the phylum. Now let's start the question. Born in 1913, Amrita Sher-Gill is regarded as a pioneer of the modern art of what country? During her childhood, she lived for a time in the British-built summer capital in a mountain area of the country in question.
St Andrews Harrison Moore.
India.
It is India, yes, well done. Your bonus is St Andrews, the 3 questions on lunar exploration. In which year did the Soviet probe Luna 2 become the first human-made object to reach the moon's surface? You can have a year either way.
It's going to be the 60s? Mid-60s?
What do you reckon?
When was the moon landing?
When was the... Because it's before,
It's about 60.
before Armstrong and all that, isn't it?
When
That's about
was the moon
69,
landing?
I think.
It was 69, I think.
Should we go with 66?
61?
Yeah, go.
1966? Okay. 1966.
No, it was 1959. The China National Space Administration Lunar Exploration Probe that landed on the far side of the moon in May 2024 is one of a series of missions named after which moon goddess of Chinese legend?
I thought they were called dragons, but they're not. Who's how are your Chinese gods? You get Chinese gods?
Moon goddess.
Bit short on Chinese gods.
They're the same.
Come on.
No.
Pass.
That was Chang'e, specifically the probe was Chang'e 6. The SLIM, or Smart Lander for Investigating Moon, that touched down on the moon in January 2024 is a mission launched by which country, the 5th to successfully land a lunar probe?
I think it might be Israel.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Israel or India? Should we go Israel?
I was going to say India.
You're the captain.
I mean, India was in.
India?
No, it's Japan. Now start the question. Plenty of time, LSE. See if you can get going with this one. Receiving its premiere at the Gaiety Theatre, London, on Boxing Day 1871, Thespis was the first collaboration between which 2 people? It would be several years before they would collaborate again, producing Trial by...
LSE Urban.
Gilbert and Sullivan.
It is Gilbert and Sullivan. Well done. Your bonus is LSE. 3 questions on the 20th century British philosopher Gillian Rose. In the title of a 1981 work, which 19th century German philosopher does Rose pit against sociology? She defends his speculative thought and analyses his criticisms of Kant and Fichte.
19th century German philosopher.
Jung.
No, it's Hegel. Rose continued to defend Hegelianism in a 1984 work titled Dialectic of what Latin-derived term, popularised by Ivan Turgenev in Fathers and Sons?
Ego.
No, it's nihilism. Which theologian wrote the poem Winter Reiser for Gillian Rose, 9th December 1995, in response to her death? He became Archbishop of Canterbury in 2003.
Rowan Williams.
Damn it.
Rowan Williams.
It was Rowan Williams, yes. Let's start the question now. I need a single-word surname here. Created to address the so-called giant evils of want, disease, ignorance, squalor and idleness, a government report of 1942 bearing the title Social Insurance and Allied Services is usually known as the report of which economist and social reformer?
LSE Urban.
Beveridge.
I'm surprised it took you so long. Of course it was. Yes, you took on 5 giants. Your bonuses are on paintings displayed at the first Impressionist exhibition, which opened in Paris in 1874, 150 years ago this year. A modern Olympia is by which artist? It led to one critic accusing him of being a sort of madman, painting in a state of delirium tremens. The balding, bearded figure in the foreground is said to resemble the artist himself.
Any thoughts?
That's later.
That's later.
Matisse.
No, it's Cézanne. The critics are eating us alive. So declared which artist, the eldest of the 31 who exhibited at the 1874 show. Hoarfrost and June Morning in Pontoise were 2 of his 5 landscape paintings included in the exhibition.
No idea.
Is that French?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Renoir.
No, it's Pissarro. Debuting at the 1874 exhibition, Impression Sunrise, the painting to which the movement owes its name, is one of several by Claude Monet depicting which harbour town in northwest France?
Diamond.
Saint-Malo.
No, it's Le Havre. Another audio round now, and for your audio starter, you're going to hear an excerpt from the score to a ballet. For 10 points, I need you to name the composer. Anyone want to have a guess?
St Andrews Samuels.
It's going to be wrong, but Tchaikovsky.
It is Tchaikovsky. For your audio starter, you heard Tchaikovsky's Dance of the Snowflakes from the Nutcracker. For your audio bonuses, 3 more depictions of snow in classical music. In each case, I need you to name the composer of each piece. First, the German-born French composer of this piece from 1875.
Who was good at Bach? Who do you think it is?
No.
Sugar Plummy.
Yeah,
Who's he?
go with it.
Go Sugar Plummy. Who wrote it though?
I'm the foggiest.
God, say something.
Do you know a French composer?
I don't know.
No. Bizet, is that?
I'm going to try Bizet. Go Bizet, just try it.
Bizet.
No, it's Offenbach. Secondly, the Russian composer of this ballet from 1900.
I don't. The only. I'm not even sure. Stravinsky. Go with that. You go with what you think, Abigail.
Rimsky.
No, it's Alexander Glazunov. Lastly, the British composer of this carol.
Is that good?
No, I'm absolutely rubbish.
Is Elgar worth a shot?
Yeah, definitely.
You take the blame there.
Go on, go say it.
Nominate Samuels.
I nominate MacDonald.
Come on, hurry up. I wanna help you get a high score.
Elgar.
No, it's Vaughan Williams with Snow in the Street. Another starter question now. I need a 2-word term here. 2024 marks the 150th anniversary of the publication of a paper entitled On a Property of the Class of All Real Algebraic Numbers, considered the first article to outline what branch of mathematics. Written by Georg Cantor, the article itself contains this branch's so-called revolutionary discovery that there is an uncountably infinite amount of real numbers in contrast to the countably infinite rational numbers. No, I'll tell you. It's set theory. Another starter question. What capital city appears in the subtitle of a work by the historian Norman Davies about a large-scale but unsuccessful military operation of August 1944? Launched by the AK or Home Army, this operation received only limited...
LSE Urban.
Warsaw.
It is Warsaw, yes, well done. Your bonuses then, LSE, are 3 questions on the names of Team GB medal winners from the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. What surname is shared by actor Donald, who starred in the 2024 television series Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and rower Helen, who won a silver medal at the Paris Olympic Games, as well as a gold medal at both the London and Rio Games?
It's a guess, but Sutherland. Yes.
Foster
Sutherland.
No, it's Glover. What surname is shared by a contemporary composer, John, known principally for choral music and founder of the Cambridge Singers, and the shooter, Amber, who won a silver medal in the women's skeet?
No idea.
We'll take a guess. Johnson.
No, it's Rutter. What surname is shared by filmmaker Derek, known for films such as Caravaggio and Sebastian, and Jake, a bronze medal winner in the men's gymnastic floor event at the Paris Games?
Jarman.
It is Jarman. Well done, yes. Let's start the question. In epistemology, knowledge by description and knowledge by acquaintance are concepts particularly associated with which British thinker, who set them forth in early 20th century works such as Our Knowledge of the External World and The Problems of Philosophy?
St Andrews Thorne.
Bertrand Russell.
It was indeed, yes. 3 questions for you, St Andrews, on elections. What word can precede election to describe one that is heavily influenced by wartime or post-war sentiment in reference to the appearance of military uniforms?
What would that be?
Marshall? No.
Marshall elections. Or...
No.
Khaki, Marshall. That's not. Marshall's a good guess.
Marshall?
Bad luck, it was khaki. The first UK general election to be called a khaki election was the election of 1900, which took place during the Boer War. That election saw the Conservative Party of Lord Salisbury defeat the Liberals, who were led by which politician?
Is it Asquith?
Asquith, I think.
Asquith?
No, it was Henry Campbell Bannerman. Another khaki election in the UK was the general election of 1918, also known as the Coupon election, which returned the coalition government led by which man who had replaced Herbert Asquith as Prime Minister in December 1916?
Lloyd George.
Yeah.
Lloyd George?
It was David Lloyd George, yes. Let's start the question. Name both the large island and the mainland geographical region that are separated from each other by the Strait of Belle Isle, the northern outlet of the Gulf of St. Lawrence. Both the island and region together form the easternmost province...
LSE Urban.
Newfoundland.
No, I'm afraid you lose 5 points. The easternmost province of Canada.
St Andrews MacDonald.
Is it Nova Scotia?
No, I did say specifically I needed both the large island and the main geographical region. Bad luck, Mark.
Scotia?
No, it was Newfoundland and Labrador. Bad luck. Now let's start the question. Derived from the Sanskrit word for drop, what name is given to the red circular mark worn by some Hindu, Jain and Buddhist women between the eyebrows?
LSE Bacon.
Oh. Sindoor.
No, I'm afraid you lose 5 points. You can hear a bit more of the question, but you may not confer, St Andrews. Traditionally made from kumkum powder, they are now available in various sticker and jewelled forms.
St Andrews Samuels.
Oh, it was me. Bindies?
Yes, it was indeed Bindi. Let's have your bonuses then. Your bonuses are on GCSE Physics, in the words of the BBC Bite-Size Guides. In each case, give the single word term to which the following explanations refer. First, these may be transverse or longitudinal. Those in electromagnetism are transverse with a wide range of properties.
It's a science team.
Not one scientist
I'd
there.
say.
What do you
I
say?
think. No, Abigail, what do you think?
Come on.
I'd just say it because we haven't.
Scales?
No, it's wave. Secondly, scalar quantities have only a magnitude or size. Which quantities have both magnitude and an associated direction?
Vector.
Yes. Finally, this is a property of moving objects. It is the product of mass and velocity.
Momentum.
Momentum, yeah.
Momentum.
Momentum equals mv, yes indeed. An audio round, and for your audio starter, you're going to hear a piece of popular music. For 10 points, I need the name of the band you hear playing.
I thought our little wild time had just begun. I guess you kind of...
You may not confer.
LSE Diamond.
Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band.
No, you can hear a bit more St Andrews, but you may not confer.
You turn and run. But if you have a change of heart, Ricky, don't lose that.
Come on, let's have an answer.
St Andrews Thorn.
The Eagles?
No, it's Steely Dan. We'll take your audio bonuses in a moment. Situated a little to the southwest of Corinth, what valley was the site of a major temple of Zeus and gives its name both to one of the 4 locations of the Pan-Hellenic Games and to a legendary carnivore slain by Heracles as the first of his 12 labours?
St Andrews Thorn.
Nemea?
Well done, it is Nemea, yes. For your audio starter a moment ago, you heard Ricky Don't Lose That Number, a single from the album Pretzel Logic, which appeared on Paz and Jop, a list of the year's best albums published annually by the Village Voice from 1974 onwards. For your bonuses, 3 more songs that appear on albums featured on the 1974 Paz and Jop list. 5 points for each artist you can name. First, this artist.
I mean, is that like Bowie or something?
Come on.
Does it sound like Bowie?
She sounds like a boy, is it? She's
Any
I'm sorry I wasn't born when this music was made.
Yeah, I think it sounds like David Bowie, but I
Come on,
don't
give
know.
yourselves a chance for a high score. Come on.
David Bowie.
No, it's Brian Eno. Secondly, this artist.
Carly Simon.
Carly Simon.
No, it's Linda Ronstadt. And lastly,
Is that Dusty Springfield?
Dusty Springfield.
No, that's Jodie Mitchell. Another starter question. What given name connects all of the following? The cook from the Bash Street Kids comic strip, a character in the 2006 film Little Miss Sunshine, played by Abigail Breslin, and a cartoon character created by E.C. Segar, who featured in the comic strip Popeye.
St Andrew Samuels.
Pug.
No, I'm afraid you lose 5 points. Anyone from LSE?
LSE Urban.
Dusty.
No, it's Olive. 2 minutes to go. April 2024 saw the 50th anniversary of the publication of which debut novel by Stephen King, adapted 2 years later into a feature film directed by Brian De Palma and starring Sissy Spacek in the title role?
St Andrews MacDonald.
Dolores Claiborne.
No. Anyone from LSE?
LSE Diamond.
Carrie.
It is Carrie, yes. Your bonuses in LSE are on terms derived from the names of literary characters as defined by the OED. Which character in Charles Dickens' Martin Chuzzlewit gives his name to words referring to an unctuous hypocrite, a person who affects benevolence or pretends to have high moral principles?
Uriah Heep, isn't it?
Yeah, go for it.
Uriah Heep.
No, it's Pecksniff. One who is optimistic regardless of the circumstances is among the OED's definitions of terms derived from the name of which character in Voltaire's Candide?
Pangloss.
Yes, meaning enormous, gigantic, immense. What 10-letter adjective derives from the name of a large-mouthed, voracious giant in the works of Francois Rabelais?
Enormous, voracious, large mouth.
Appetite.
I need an answer. No, I'll tell you, it's Gargantuan from Gargantua. Another starter question. On Christmas Day of the year 1000, Stephen I was crowned as the first king of what country? A member of the Arpad dynasty. He was born in the town of Esztergom on the River Danube.
LSE Urban.
Hungary.
It is Hungary, yes. Your bonuses are on the animal songs of comic musical duo Flanders and Swan. The chorus, Mud, Mud, Glorious Mud, appears in their song about which animals on the banks of the cool Shalimar?
Foster Q.
Hippopotamus.
Yes, in another song, which animal is discovered by the narrator on Salisbury Plain singing a love song to an abandoned tank?
Do you remember that? No.
A cow.
No, it's an armadillo. Their song about which animal permanently altered the British pronunciation of its name, emphasising its initial G. It is also known as the wildebeest.
Gnu.
Yes. Let's start the question. Tabular, dry dock, pinnacled, blocky, wedge. And at the gong, LSE of 65 and St Andrews of 130. LSE, you were so good when you knew the answers.
Yes.
And the difficulty with this game is that if they get the starters right, as they did, because they played so well, you have to sit there while they get all the bonuses you probably knew. So bad luck. I think that score doesn't reflect how well you played, especially at the end. St Andrews, I'm so sorry, but that's not going to be enough. We're not going to see you again. It's been wonderful having you. Have you enjoyed yourselves?
Yes, it's been great.
Well, I thought you played brilliantly. Thank you so much. We shan't see you again, but I hope we'll see you guys again for the next time, for the first semi-final of this Christmas series. But until then, it is goodbye from LSE.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from St Andrews.
Bye-bye.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.